So hello again. Thanks for coming today. It is very great to see you, as always. And before starting the event, I would like to warn that this event will be recorded to be shared on our social channels. So if you have any concerns regarding that, please feel free to reach us through chat or private message. And please feel free to turn your cameras as well on if you're comfortable with that. And also feel free to turn your microphones on as well when you would like to say something, contribute to something, ask something, or for any other interaction. And you can also find the chat in the bottom right corner, which I think you already did, where we will be posting links and info and some nonsense maybe. And feel free to use that as well. I am Sinem, the events lead of AIxDesign, an independent organization and a community of geeky designers, creative techies, and curious minds who are exploring the intersections of design, AI, ML, and data. And before starting the event, we would like you to get familiar with Gather and take a moment to celebrate this gathering today by pressing the letter F on your keyboard for some confetti shower. So if you press F, we can give some confetti shower to Ambika. And or we can also dance all together by pressing the key Z. Right. You will also notice that you will be able to move around by using your arrow keys and send emojis by pressing the numbers between 1 and 6. Oh, yes, great. I'm seeing already a lot of emojis. And I will be typing these in the chat as well, in case you missed it. One sec. You will also notice that you will be able to interact, talk, and see each other when you walk towards someone, if your cameras and microphones are on, of course. And when you move far away from each other, you won't be able to see each other or talk to each other. And if you would like to talk to everyone, contribute in any way, or ask a question so everybody can hear you, please raise your hand or type in the chat so I can spotlight you, so everybody can hear you like you're hearing me right now. And I would like to also say you can also customize your look from the bottom left corner next to your video. If you click on the little pen there and then pick change character option. Since we have this small pop-up disco, you can put your best clubbing outfit. And I will be introducing our great workshop facilitator meanwhile. And I'm putting the reminder in the chat as well, just in case. So this workshop is the 7th event of our AI Playground program led by Ambika, aka ComputationalMama, and it is funded by Stimuleringsfond Creative Industry. It is part of the buddy team among 4 main teams we have been having: image, moving image, music sound, body poses, and text words. Under each team, we are hosting one behind-the-scenes artist talk and one workshop like we will be having today. And you can follow our social channels and have an eye on our Eventbrite page for other talks and events that we will be having as part of the program or also our other programs. And I'm also leaving some links to keep an eye on the upcoming events and programs. Today we will be hosting Ambika, aka ComputationalMama, for the workshop Learn to Finger Paint with Words. And it is also special because until now we hosted 5 different artists as part of this program, which is led by Ambika herself. And today she will be facilitating her own workshop. ComputationalMama is a creative technologist, cultural consultant, and streamer. Her work explores coding as a form of self-care and learning. She teaches the basics of creative computation and new approaches to computational thinking through Twitch. Her streaming series, Coding with Friends, is rooted in creating inclusive spaces for women makers to explore creative computation. And I am also sending, of course, a link in the chat again to see more about Ambika's work. I would also like to introduce you another aspect of our program. We will be making explorations and learnings of each AI playground topic accessible to a wider community with a series of public guides, basically. And our first guide is already published on the theme of image, and you can see it through our workshop, through our website, sorry, or through the link I will be posting in the chat shortly. And each of these guides contain an introduction to each discipline, inspiration projects, and creative suggestions for how the viewer can expand the subject further. And additionally, there will be also an online graduation show later in the year where all the AI Playground program participants will have a chance to display their work that they developed in these workshops or that were inspired by the events. So more details will be announced on the respective Slack channels on this. And in that case, we would like you to join our Slack channel if you're not part of it already. Slack space, I mean. And please do not hesitate to ping me privately or Ambika if you have any problems in that. Also, as one last thing, I will be sharing a link to a Drive folder in the chat. And please feel free to upload any output from the workshop or any related content. It can be like also notes, suggestions, etc. In that folder so we can use them for promotional purposes and can also cite you if you name them following the very, very short naming guide that you can find there. Um, Also sending that in the chat. And that is all from me. And I would like to welcome Ambika for a fun and exciting workshop. Hi, Ambika.
Oh my God, hi, thanks, Sinem. It was a very, very sweet introduction and for always hosting these so well. Uh, Thanks everybody for joining in. I'll just kind of, in my very rough and tumble way, uh, run you through some ideas about using AI library called PoseNet. Sorry, not PoseNet, HandPose. And in context of that, I just wanted to quickly know, because we already know the emoji format, if people can use emoji uh, too, which is hearts, if they have no knowledge of coding at all. Like someone who's coming here like totally like a noob. Okay, Nishi, I see. Is anyone AV? Okay. Uh, so okay, have some knowledge of coding, but don't consider yourself uh, coding ninjas. Use five, the question mark. Okay. uh, cool. Okay. uh, those who think that it's more about learning something creative today and can help others out through their coding journeys as well, can please use three, the celebration, whatever. Sorry, cinema, I'm doing this so just I know like how fast or slow I need to go. uh, right, okay, cool,
Surely.
great, super. So we have some idea about how people are placed in the group, and I'll just start with a quick idea of like how I've been exploring this for a while, and moving from to the so can you guys see the screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Great. So, I mean, my name is fairly apparent, but I started this journey of learning coding about a few years ago when I was expecting, and it so happens that most of these AI PoseNet explorations have involved my both my family members, my partner Agat and our son Yugen. When he's a theater maker, so we tried PoseNet for him early on in 2018, and then through a very brilliant creative coder and community driver Koparzi, who runs the Algorithm India, I was able to explore it live while with an audience who were dancing to Febi Mama's music, who's here in the screen. I'm here as a shadow on the edge. Um, these explorations kind of took an interesting turn when we were able to do it like a projection mapping with PoseNet in a sort. This is like a traditional graffiti, might be a bad way to put it, but a mural inside a home in Madhubani, which depicts the journey of life, and specifically in the nuptial chambers of a newlywed. So as the two people are coming closer, the animation is is kind of changing and kind of like focusing to the center of the wall. This is Anisha on the side, and while I explored this with her physically, this is just like the pandemic hit very soon after this, and it struck me that can we not try, doing things together even though we are in different cities. So here I am in Udaipur with a pile of files behind me, and she is in Bangalore with this very interesting door, and to look at how these things can be connected even when we can't physically be in the same space. Um, I was able to take this a bit forward with using it in a workshop here in Amsterdam called Iterations, in a bigger festival called Iterations 21, where we layered it one on top of the other to see what kind of effects you can do together. So here I am joining in from one place, and here are two of my friends joining in from another space as well. And sometime early this year, I observed that through Future Sketches, which is a program run by Zach Lieberman at MIT Lab, they had started to use HandPose, which is a new library by Google as well, where they are using their fingertips to like build these very beautiful, simple, and wonderful kind of sketches. And I wanted to see what it would mean for us to try that in P5JS, because of course I love P5JS, as is very evident. um, so I use the same library, but it's a different programming language and different kind of framework of technology. uh, but essentially the idea is the same, that you take your fingertip, your index fingertip and your thumb, and then as it becomes bigger, the text is kind of and here I am again with a pile of shit behind me in the webcam. So oops. When I was exploring this, it was very interesting, and I don't share this publicly because it's got my son's face. But it was really interesting to see both how the model recognizes fingers and hands, whether they are of a 4-year-old or of a 34-year-old, and how even a small child who can't even read the letters is sort of excited to interact with it and kind of like figuring out a way to engage with it, and always constantly bringing me back to this collaborative notion of the camera and the human in many of these new digital technologies. Um, and so this was just a test for a recent workshop I did for PoseNet. PoseNet is basically all your body poses. So this was like with the wrists, and we were looking at how we can like include both digital and physically written poetry together and see where that can take us, or to like do it together as a group of people, because of course now you can meet people. Clearly I'm a loner because I just used a photograph of my son. but uh, but yeah, the idea is that you're able to kind of see what it would mean to access your body on a webcam, through a webcam, and then kind of embody these letters, these words, and this kind of idea of what it means to have poetry around that. So we are up here up till 8, right, Sinem?
Sorry?
We are here up till 8 o'clock, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we'll pan it out in a simple way where we'll do a very simple version of this one, this exercise where you can see the fingers moving and the text kind of being manipulated a bit, and then we'll move on to trying to see if there are opportunities for us to somehow do it together, and if it would be great if someone both has the time and energy to see if they can mix like say a physically handwritten piece of writing that goes with the hand poses together. I'm not certain if we can do it in this small workshop time period, but this is what the way the workshop is planned out. Maybe I can now's a good time for me to share it with you guys. Anyway, I'll just showcase this last two slides then. So we are going to do We're going to use the ML5 library. ML5JS is basically a machine learning library which has kind of simplified some of the more complex ideas of TensorFlow, which is a larger Google-backed machine learning repository of machine learning models, which allows it, I mean, easier access for someone who's exploring it like us, without having to do a lot of setup and things like that. So we're going to set up our webcam. We will add the machine learning library, initialize the HandPose model, uh, create some callbacks to ensure that everything is working fine. And then from there, we will start our pose detection, maybe identify 2 or 3 finger points that we want to use. And then we'll flip the camera around, because originally when you start working with it, the camera will be not mirrored, which will be odd because here we are using it like a mirror. And then we will add some text and if statements, and look at a function called distance, which will allow us to manipulate the size. And after that, we will, oh, I did flip camera twice, sorry about that, guys. Try to see if we can build an analog text card that will look pretty beautiful, but I think it's very much based on how much time we have. For those of you who feel absolutely like uh, uncertain about coding and feel like you may not be able to type and follow as quickly as the rest of the group, these 2 links will give you everything about the sketch, and I will just urge you to explore what HandPose can do with us, rather than feeling like it's going over your head and you're not able to feel involved. So just imagine it like there are 2 slides in the playground. One slide is a little bit more scary, and then there's a slide which is a little less scary. So you're coming in for the first time. So these links allow you to make the slide a little less scary. Hopefully, Nishi, I think Nishi was the one who said she doesn't know coding, and I don't know who else was there, but hopefully it's not too intimidating, and this is a great start for your journey into looking at creative coding as a way of life. So I'll just share the link with you guys in the chat.
To fill up, we are just throwing confetti meanwhile.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you're all on the slides. If you do know a little bit of coding and want to learn, have come here to learn something new, I urge you to try not to copy paste this and fool around with it, because then it will not like take your learning to the next level. It will continue for you to like, you'll just be meandering in the same place. This, I'm sorry, I'm just speaking out of personal experience, my own experience of doing this a lot. So give yourself that faith that you can follow along with us, and then we will take it from there. So the rest of the links, I don't feel like I want to plonk in the chat. Do I need to? Will people be able to access it directly?
I can copy and paste in the chat
Thank you so much.
from the presentation, right?
Yeah. You do you have view access? Maybe not, right? Let
Uh,
me share view access with you separately on WhatsApp or something. Oh, sorry, editor access.
I put both of the links in the chat actually.
Okay, it worked. Super. Okay, anyway, I sent it to anyway. Okay, great. So those are the links. Now, just how many of you know about P5J's editor? You can tell me with hearts. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yes. Very good. Very good. That's great. Okay, super. So I'm gonna share my screen again, and then okay. So we need to go to this link, editor.p5js.org. And if you are not signed in, please sign in, because then your sketch will not save otherwise. And if you are signed in already, great. If you have never signed into this before, it will give you like options to sign up with Google or with GitHub or
yeah.
like whatever email, whatever. So Once you've done that, maybe you can just do a little dance so I know that you're ready, that you've signed in, you open the P5J editor and that you've signed in. Okay. Wish me luck, guys. I make a lot of mistakes in workshops, okay? So, okay. Okay. So, if you're new, basically these are like two sort of functions which allow P5JS to like make it easy for you to start building interesting visual code-based sketches. Generally is the format is that if you see that there's this little arrow here, you'll see that the arrow has three files in it, which is the index HTML, sketch.js, and style CSS. We will very briefly explore index HTML just to add a little small copy paste a small script, but most of our work will happen in the sketch.js file. Basically, it'll allow us to add the webcam, add the machine learning model, and look at the poses, and then move from there. For those of you who are a little more AI tech forward, this particular hand pose model has an interesting history around it. I can just quickly bring that up before we start off. But the thing to remember is that we are not, this is a pre-trained model, which means that someone very diligently sat for many, many hours, maybe not someone, but someone's looked through many images, got cropped many images of how hands can be in different shapes and like different forms and contortions, and then tried to help the computer identify what are those different points. So I will just try to open that for you as well. I mean, there are many people who've written about it, but I'll just open the one which is from Google's blog. So typically, like many things that come with AI, there's some intention behind it, and there's this whole thing about like trying to use it with sign language and things. But the idea is, just, as you can see, that the contortions of the hand are much more because obviously you're being expressive with your fingers. This is also true for, say, dance. Diane, who was one of the participants, she and Una have a great project around this also. Maybe Diane, you can like share your project link, because some people are from the UK and they might like to know more of your project. Um, and uh, and it also gives you like the 3D, like a spatiality. Of course, with ML5, because it's been kind of like dialed down a little bit, some of these things don't work so elegantly. But it's, I mean, it's for us to see how we can work with something that's clunky and like emerging, rather than working with perfection. I mean, this is all the code that you need, but this is a like a simple way to like kind of get a little bit more detail around it. Yes, it will be recorded. So Sinam is being very diligent about that, I think. uh, and most of this stuff is, let me just see if I can find those things, some more things for you. I think this should be enough. Is this too much? Yeah, maybe it's too much. You can see more of these links like wherever. Okay, but as you can see, that between the like the skeleton lines in these images, that there are like little dots. So basically those are the landmark points for the model to understand that there's a hand there, and the rest of it is just like joining those particular lines. So these include the bottom of the wrist, and then starts the rest of the phalanges, which is like 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and then it's like basically all four here, all four here, all four here, all four here. So this little bit of, I don't know if it was visible in the camera, but this bit of information is just relevant for when we are working with our sketch. And here it already tells you that it's basically 21 key points. Um, so now the newer hand pose models allow you to identify two hands and maybe even more, but the one we will use today only identifies one hand at a time. So it'll, whatever hand you raise closer to the camera and which is more evident to it, it will try to identify that. So we'll just start off with a very simple format of adding a variable, and we'll call it, for the sake of ease, we'll call it webcam. So you just have to write let webcam on the first line of your code, and from here write webcam equals create capture with the C capital and add it as a video. So at this point, nothing really should happen except a big gray box will turn up, and underneath that your webcam should be there. So here you can see there's a big gray box, and underneath that you can see me in the webcam. And I don't know if it will be evident to you the screenshot in the screen sharing, but for you at home, it should feel that the image is not mirrored. It's basically showing my right hand when I'm showing my right hand. It's not giving me like how when you stare at yourself in the mirror, or occasionally in Zoom, whatever, it shows you a mirrored image. So this will give you the video at the bottom, but this is not what we want. We want the video to be in this space here, and I want to give the video a specific size as well. So I have a canvas here which is 400 by 400, which is basically this gray box. I will change this to 640 by 480, and uh, I'll just hit play again, and you'll see that it's just made it the same size here like that. And now what I'll do is I will give the webcam the same size as so it's webcam dot size 640 by 480, and then I will say webcam dot hide. So now you see that the webcam is not there, but some of you may observe that when you're still playing the sketch, that your webcam, on light is coming on, like the light that comes on when you activate your webcam on your phones. So the webcam is working, it's switched on, but it's just not showing up anywhere on your sketch. Basically, that's what's happening. The reason for that is we will now call the webcam onto this particular gray box, and then all the rest of the functions will come in after that. I'm just going to open this once again just to remember family everything fine. Yeah. So now we'll do a little bit more of like a control T and open a new tab. I just want you guys to go to ml5js.org, which is basically the machine learning sort of web friendly, like artist friendly kind of, creator friendly, not artist friendly, creator friendly. Um, Here, sorry, I'll just go back. Here you'll notice there's a getting started reference. Here you can just go to that. We just need this bit of code here, which is very easy to copy. You don't even have to use your keyboard. You can just say copy to clipboard, right? And you need to, if I'm going too fast, because I can't see your chat, so if someone writes in the chat, please let me know. So you'll go to your index HTML file. This was here. If you were sort of somewhere else, in this little arrow, you'll see your files are all there. So in this arrow, we will add under line 5 here. You see it says script. You just hit enter and copy the ML5 link that we copied from here. So that's all you need to do from this website currently. But I just wanted to quickly show you that they have a huge uh, list of different kinds of machine learning models which you can use, like from image classifiers to PoseNet, which I've been talking about, to face APIs, face meshes. If you want to do something with machine learning and rough sketches and things like that, sound classification, text, and some other things as well. So you can know more about all of this stuff here. It's decently documented. I wouldn't say it's very well documented, but if you know a little bit of coding, it may still be useful for you. So this is
Can
what we
you
are using.
can you maybe repeat, Ambika, again what the copy were? for anyone who missed?
Repeat, sorry.
Can you repeat again what to copy
Repeat what?
where?
Ah, yeah. Here. So you just you go to ML5JS, the main page here, and then go to getting started. And in getting started, you will see under quick start, there is a small line of code. You copy it. Once you have copied it, you can go to your index.html file, hit enter underneath line 5 here, and just paste it there.
Yes. Like
Right?
should we wait a bit for people or?
Yes. Uh, Sorry, yeah, I was figuring that I was going a bit fast, so that's why I asked you to just.
That's fine.
Yeah. So right now, nothing should really happen except for the fact that uh, your code should run. It should just show a gray box. Your webcam light should be on, but there'll be no webcam feed in this current sketch, and you will see nothing else. If you are not logged in, I'll just say that again to P5JS, your sketch will not be saved. So maybe you want to like remember that. Oh, this is exactly the same code synonym that we have with us. I'm just doing it step by step so that people learn how to use it. That's all. So as I said, that if you're feeling a bit uncomfortable with like the speed or the pace of the coding, all of this stuff is just like differently named, but it's the same thing here, which we are going to follow through. So you needn't worry too much. Sorry, I'm just going to switch on the fan. It's really warm. Please, you guys can interrupt me at any time. I feel that that's better than going back and thinking that it wasn't, what you were expecting the workshop, and it was like a sprint, 100-meter sprint. Uh, so now we've kind of put some of the key aspects in place. Now I want to just call the camera webcam feed onto this gray box. So what I'm going to do here is say image underneath line 11 or underneath this background. If you just hit enter, and I'll call the webcam. I will put it at 0 comma 0, which is this point here, and then I will say I will put the, either I can put this length and height and width height and width as numericals, or I can call them as variables, but um, let me just put them as variables. So width. So basically, now that I've initiated the webcam, it has some kind of data about it, including that the fact that we made it a 640 by 480 size. So later, if you change the size out, or like I observed in a past workshop that for some people the webcam shows up in a different way if like they have some HDR mode on, or like some of these newer Macs have like some new like other kind of capabilities. So like to start off, like this may mean that your webcam doesn't show up in a proportional way like it is for me. It might be a bit squished together or something, but uh, I mean, we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there, or you can message me later or something about it. So we've got the webcam initiated into this canvas, and now we start initiating PoseNet, which is basically a lot of code for like one or two things to happen. So you just have to be a bit patient with me on this little joyride that we are about to take. So we'll start off really simple. We are going to make a variable called HandPose just to keep it easy for us. So we'll just say let HandPose, and at this point we will call from all of the ML5JS libraries and models and details that it holds in it, uh, HandPose model specifically. So what for that what we need to do is say HandPose in the setup. after your webcam height, say hand pose, and then we have to initiate the model. So what this basically means is that I'll say, hey, ML5, come here, and once you're here, get the hand pose model for me. So ML5 dot hand pose. But then ML5 will say, okay, I got the model, but where's the input? Like, do you want to put a video? Do you want to put an image? What do you want to do? So I already have decided that I'm going to use my webcam as the input. So I'm going to add webcam as the input there. And then typically, this is something that don't ask me about. Maybe Rishi or someone can tell a little bit more. But what you need now is to give it a callback, which is almost like giving it a feedback system, a feedback loop, as we have in like in our daily lives. That like how when we email someone and then immediately we WhatsApp them. So we put a condition to us is that when I'm going to WhatsApp this person, when I'm going to email this person, I have to WhatsApp them, because I know 100%. Like Sinem, she knows I never reply to her unless she WhatsApps me. So after she gives me a task on like say Notion or whatever, she has to WhatsApp me. So now model loaded is basically us giving ourselves that space for a feedback loop, that okay, everything has loaded fine. I've This was my expectation from ML5, and this is what it needs to give me back. But this is not a pre-added function in P5J. This is something we need to add. So see, you see this curly bracket here. So after this curly bracket, not within it, you can hit enter a couple of times and say model loaded. What have I added in this? Uh, just that it says it's ready. So we just need to add that and say that the model is ready, which is useful to know when you're working with it, exactly like this example where Cinem has to WhatsApp me separately. So it's function model loaded with an L capital, uh, two empty brackets, and then a curly bracket. In the curly bracket it says console.log, and inside apostrophes it says model is ready. So this could be anything. You could say hand pose is ready, model ready, whatever you want. So for just ease of understanding, this is what I've written. So I'll wait a bit for you guys to finish, and you can send in your emojis to know that we're fine. Okay, what is the next step? Right. So those who already done this, you can just hit play. Really nothing should happen except that at the bottom in your console, at some point when the model has loaded, it's going to say the model is loaded. So it's basically just telling me, yeah, all good. It's like exactly. Sinem, I'm sorry that this is like such a personal example between you and me, but it's the truth. So, and then I have to tell Sinem, right, that yeah, I got your mail. I will respond to it. So basically, this is the console log is just telling this to me. Uh, so if you're done till this bit, uh, you should be good to go. Uh, if you're new to P5JS, I would recommend to switch off auto refresh. Occasionally, I find that people switch it on, or it's like preloaded sometimes. But this will just uh, allow you to do your work in peace, and it will not try to. Um, this model is also a bit GPU intensive, so if you are on a computer which is a little bit, well, not older, but like maybe you're not looking after it too well or something, or you like just keep it maybe on a table or near a fan or something, just to make your life a bit easier. um so now we've got the model loaded. Now what we need to do is we've loaded the model. Shall I go ahead? Yeah, no, yes, no. Okay, cool. Jenny, my forever best feedback ever. Like without her, my workshops don't work. Okay, cool. So, so what we need to do now is to say, okay, the model is loaded, everything is fine, but now start start recognizing the fact that that there's a hand in the webcam view or not. So this is a little I won't say it's tricky, but you just have to follow it a little bit diligently, so that you have everything going for you, and then later you'll see that everything will work out just fine, absolutely fine. So we'll start with putting in an empty array. Now, an empty array, for if you're new to coding, basically means a list which is empty. So it's basically like you have a list, but it has nothing in it. So for this one, we are going to use the term hand, and I'll say let equals to, and then I'm going to put a square bracket, which is empty. So when I add things to it, it's going to be array which has data in it, but right now it's just an empty array. So what will happen is that whenever the PoseNet model recognizes that I have a hand in the webcam view, sorry, not PoseNet HandPose, it will fill this list and pass that list back to me with a bunch of data which I can use. Like, can it understand where the hand is, what are the positions of the various key landmarks as we discussed, and how confident it feels about recognizing those things. So at this point, what we'll do is we'll say we put our array in place, and underneath our ML5 handpose model callback, we will say uh, handpose dot on, and then in this, I've forgotten the code only. Okay, yeah. So in this, we are going to add a function that allows for the model to pick up that hand and give you the result of those hands. So we will. This is a bit of like extra Java code stuff, JavaScript code, which I don't want to go into, but maybe if someone's really interested and someone can actually help them understand it, it will be easy. Like something about anonymous functions or something. Right? Am I right when I say these things? So we are going to write hand, singular hand, uh, add a comma, add a open another set of parentheses, write results in it, add an equal to, add a greater to, so it looks like a fat arrow going this way, and then we will add curly brackets, right? And then within that we will write hands equals to results. I think that's what it is, right? Yeah, correct. So at this point, we have everything we need for the model to identify the hands and give us some data back. So I just want to quickly check before we start drawing on the sketch if it has actually understood this data and if the model is actually working or not. So this is like where you bear witness to my mistakes. So let's just try and see what happens. So let me do this. If it works, then copy it rather than me doing something, copying and it turning out that it doesn't work. So I'm just going to console log the hands. What this means is that though nothing will turn up on the webcam view, in my console under this model is ready, after the model is ready, it should be able to give me some kind of data. How we'll decipher that data is what I will explain to you. So now, okay, so I've restarted the sketch. It's taking a little bit of time to load. Yeah, and now the model is ready and you can see there's an empty array. But when I put my hand up, you can see that it says that something one and then something object. Now, that means it's working. So I just want you guys also to just try this on your sketches as well, and then let me know how it's looking. Thank you, Isim. All right. Nishi, is this too fast for you? Are you okay? Oh, not Rishi. Nishi. Rishi, you are the one who helped me initially with PoseNet. Okay, super. Thank you. Okay, so is are we okay to move ahead a little bit? Okay, cool. So, so basically now I've stopped the sketch, but I still have that old data with me in this. So when I open this data, like any you can just open any of these because it's just giving to you every frame per second. So you'll observe that it says zero, and then when I click on zero, it gives me a lot of interesting data which I will now help you to decipher. So the first thing that you see, it says hand in view confidence. So now this is where this is something which I'm really fascinated about AI and ML is that everything is about confidence and loss, and confidence is such an interesting and simple like idea for us as humans that okay, if someone is walking towards you, just think about it like it's really good summer for most of you in the west at least, and now in at least those living in India, the monsoon has set in, so the weather is good. So if you're going out and you're meeting a friend, and they're coming in from far away, like when they are like say like about like say 100 meters or a little bit farther away, you have like a say 1% confidence that it might be your friend, and then when they come closer, that confidence increases. And so then when they are say like at say they're like 50 meters away or like even closer, they're right next to you, you're 100% confident that it's them, right? So similarly we teach machines with those embodied ideas. So we are telling the machine that okay, now I've fed you all of these models of hands, all these pictures, thousands and millions of pictures. Now you tell me, if I share this picture with you, do you think it's a hand or not? So you're asking how confident it feels about knowing if this is a hand or not. It's very interesting to think that it's like a child, like you ask them, oh, what is this, what is this? It's the same way. So you're asking the machine if it understands if this is a hand or not. So in response, it's telling me that it's 85% confident or 0.85, etc., that this is a hand that I see in the camera input. It gives you a bounding box, like a box like where it feels the hand might be. I think that was there in one of these examples or these pictures. No, maybe not. And then where's the sketch? And then it gives you the landmarks, which are all the points of the hands. So in the landmark section, these are marked without any names. It just gives you the X, Y, and Z position. So X, like X position of the wrist point. I think zero is wrist, and then the Y position, and then of course the 3D in terms of how close or far and the Z position, which is in estimation to the where the camera estimates it to be. So these are the landmarks. These will be useful for us to place all our points. And then finally we have what is called the annotation. So the annotation will actually give you the names. It shows you okay, thumb, so 4 points for the thumb. So XYZ positions, XYZ position, so that's 0, 1, 2, 3. And then similarly for your index finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky, and your palm base. Pinky is funny, and I would have thought they would call it little finger, but okay. So and then the palm base has only that 1 point because it's just telling you what is the end of the palm, right? So these are the points that it's able to identify on one hand. So that is basically where you have now brought your sketch, that it's able to recognize it, and it's able to send that data back to you. So now what do we do with this data? So we can start playing with it a little bit. Uh, I Let me see if I put flip before this or after this. It's after, okay. So now we'll play with it a bit and then we'll do the flip camera in the next section. So at this point now I need to start drawing out the all of those particular points so that I can actually see them in the camera view, right? So I'm just going to make a function for this, and if you know about loops and nested loops, it may not be too difficult to understand. But if you don't, we'll do it a bit slowly, but I would then have to like say that maybe some kind of reference material has to be shared, or you have to just take my knowledge or on this, like just as is. So what we'll do first is I will remove this console log here, because what will happen is that eventually it will start making the sketch very slow and clunky. So I will make a new function here, and I will call it draw key points. You can name it however you like, without spaces. Draw K capital key points. Then again, just like model loaded, open brackets, sorry, close parentheses, nothing in it, and then curly brackets. So the first thing we'll do here is we will ask it to make a variable to give us all the hand data, and then from that hand data give us those landmark points which we saw here, which were the landmark points in this. You can also do it with annotation, but I found sometimes it wasn't working too well for me, or maybe I was not able to get the code right, so I didn't want to misguide anybody. So what we'll do now is that we will make a nested loop for I equals to 0. If this is something new to you, I would just urge you to copy paste this little bit of code, and then I'll just run you through it, so that should be fine. And then it's less than your uh, hand key points. No, kya hai? Hands dot length. Okay. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is give it a const hand, and const or let or whatever, like give it a variable called hand, and then I will say that each hand point will be determined by this array that I got in this on hand pose, which is hands. So hands is giving me all of these details, and I am saying that from that hands give me the detail of the landmarks. Okay, it's a bit confusing, but think about it like I have a list called hands, and from that list I need a sub list called landmarks. So for getting that sub list, I just added an extra variable name to to just like make the code like a little bit more discernible. That's all. So from here, what I'll do is I know that the landmarks are like 21. So I want those particular key points. So I'm going to make a nested loop, which is basically a loop within a loop, which should be hand now dot landmarks dot length. Sorry, Jay. I hope I got this right. Something seems a bit off. Hand, yeah, okay, seems fine. And then I will make a new variable called key points or key point, and I'll make sure that it's equal to now I'm just confused, sorry, hand dot landmark I landmarks, sorry, J. So basically now what it's doing is just like we name the sublist for each hand or from the larger list hands to be called hand, we will now name the sublist of each of those landmark points on the hand to be called key point. Sorry if this is a bit outside of some people's uh, frameworks, but you'll get it, don't worry about it too much. Okay, so now we've got now basically a list of the landmarks specifically on each hand. And when I open the landmarks, I could see that if my landmark was called 0, it had 3 points, which was 0, 1, 2. And just by virtue of the documentation, I know that 0 is for x, and 1 is for y. And right now I'm not doing anything with the 3D aspect, so z is not of our concern. So currently, if I do an ellipse and I say key point, uh, sorry, key point 0, is that the right thing? Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I keep checking. I don't want to make a mistake. key point 1. So that's basically x and y. So in a circle, when we make a circle, we say x and y, and then say maybe like a diameter of 10. So hopefully, if this works, it should give me 21 key points of my hand. Moment of truth. Model is ready. Model is not working. Oh, wait. What did I do wrong? Hmm? Okay. Sorry. I think that usually that doesn't make any difference in P5JS, but maybe I made a mistake somewhere. Oh yeah, it's so silly. I never declared it in draw. Sorry, sorry. So now I need to tell my drawing canvas that every time I run this, please run this function key points so that they show up with the webcam feed. If I keep my fingers crossed, is it a higher likelihood that it'll work? Yeah, okay, it is. So hopefully you're able to see the points. We are also at the 1 hour mark in the workshop. So we'll try to wrap up closer so that you guys have more time to explore a little bit. So it's okay now? Is this working for everyone? I can see two people have raised their hands, but it's because they're playing with PoseNet and not because they want to tell me that they're done. Uh, there we go.
Yeah, just running the code is slowing the computer a lot, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I'm disconnecting sometimes.
yeah. That's best. If you feel it's a bit. So see, sometimes it doesn't identify like that. I've closed my finger, and occasionally I have also found that there's one particular plant in this collection which it tries to identify as a hand. I don't know why. So now if I put both hands, you see it's only taking one because this particular model only identifies one. But you can steal it. It should also identify the back of your hand. Yeah, working for yeah, it takes a little bit of time. uh, Maybe I'll try and like send a bit of code everyone's way which works with MediaPipe, but then it's like a little chunky it didn't work very well with P5 for me, so I didn't explore it too much, but there are newer models which work much better. So now the basis of this model are kind of like basic part is ready, uh, so that we can now like do whatever fun stuff we want with P5JS. So I mean, of course, I could just change this to rectangle or line or I don't know, like try exploring other things like with begin shape, end shape. I think some of you are much more clever at that than I am. Um, but because I love text, we use text. But at this point, I'm now a bit annoyed by the fact that it's reversed, and I want that the camera is flipped so that I can feel that mirror image and my explorations seem sort of more in tune with what I'm trying to do. So there are just a few lines of code for that. and then we'll go to the text part. Okay, I'll change this back to ellipse. So ML5 library has a specific piece of code which allows you to flip the video camera feed, which we'll use. And the PoseNet model also has something that allows you to flip the feed, not the feed of the camera, but the feed of the data points that it's getting. So, to make sure that works is pretty simple. After your background, you can make a const and call it flipped or whatever, flipped, and then equals ml5 dot flip image I capital, and you add your video feed here, your webcam feed here, and in the webcam, when you place the webcam on the canvas, you just make that flip. And when I hit play, okay, so now you can see the webcam is flipped, but the model is still in showing me in the previous place. It's also kind of interesting and playful, but uh, so what we need now is to flip this data also, because what it's doing is, even though it's showing you the camera flipped, the data is still showing, like it's still reading and noting those points as per the original view of the camera. So we just need to flip that out now, which is very simple. In PoseNet, you can just make another const and call it options, whatever, equals, and then put a curly bracket, and then I think it says flip horizontal. Yeah, so you can do flip h capital horizontal equals true, and then is that it? Yeah, perfect. So this is options flip horizontal, and then you put a colon and then say true. And then what I need to do is I need to add this option into my model. So I'll say webcam comma options model, comma model loaded. So basically now there are like three parts to this particular code. Okay, if you're having trouble, I'll just, after I finish this, I will, if people are having trouble, I'll help them debug, no problem. And there are others also in the group who can help them do that. So now it should be flipped. Oh shit, we're running out of time. Sorry, sorry. Okay. Can you guys see the screen share still?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we're here now, and we have flipped the model, so hopefully it should work. If it doesn't crash again. Yeah. Okay. So now it's, for me, everything is kind of working fine. The model is loading like mirrored to me, and so is the webcam. So now I've got visually more or less everything is in place. So at this point, now we can start looking at our exploration with text and the if statement, and then something to do with the distance. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is that I need to get the particular points specifically that are. I just want to do first. Either we can do like all the tips 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or we can just do two, which is like say maybe the thumb and the forefinger. Uh, so what should we do? What should we do? Maybe we'll do uh, let's just do thumb and forefinger to start off. So basically for this, then I don't need all the points that are available in the hand pose key points. I just need the landmarks. I just need specifically this point and this point. So for this, what I need to do is I'm just gonna do this in an easier way. I'm gonna come in. You guys don't need to do this. This is for me to just explain to you. This is maybe my internet's behaving a bit
Yeah,
poorly
I
today.
think running the code at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. So just don't do this step. I'll just tell you what we're trying. We are going to just take the key point for the thumb, which I think should be the first one. So 0, 0, and then index finger is uh, also this one. So that should be basically, these are my first ones. This is so 0 is the thumb, first point for the thumb, second point for the thumb, third point for the thumb, and then 4 is like index finger, first point, second point, and so on. I have this detail somewhere. Let me just find it. One second. Sorry guys, I should have pulled this up before. Yeah, okay. So yeah, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need point number 4 and I need point number 8 basically. So what I can do is, instead of saying I mean, I'll just do it manually because it's just 2 points. So, what I'll do is not go through all of this junk, shall we say. It's bad to say junk, but I'm going to remove that nested loop and I'll say thumb here, and then I know that that landmark point is number 4. So I'm going to, in this, instead of J, I will put number 4. So I'm saying in the landmark list, give me that 4th detail. Actually, it's 5th because it starts from 0. So give me that 5th point. And then I'm going to say index finger, finger, and then give that point to me as, what is it? 8, right? So I just want to quickly console log these points to see if everything is working fine. And if the data comes across, we will then use that and then quickly move into doing something more fun and just figuring this all out. Oh my god, I only have 10 minutes. Then you guys have to start exploring stuff. Oh, sorry. Is it okay till now? Are people following it? So it's giving me these 2 key points, okay, which are also lists in themselves. So it's giving me this key point with 3 data sets, 3 data points, X, Y, and Z, and then same here, X, Y, and Z. So if I need to get now the from the 4th data point, I need the first and second data point. So it's like a subset within a subset. So I can just add that here directly. So I can say index thumb X and then say thumb Y. If this is getting confusing, you can ask me in the extra time that we have. Try and explain it. So then I'll do index finger X and index finger Y. And now if I make that ellipse with the 2 key points, or 2, and then I need 2 ellipses obviously because it's 2 points. So I'll do thumb X, thumb Y, and then index point, index. The more nervous I'm getting, the worse I get at typing. So I'm sorry, guys. Voila. So we have the 2 points uh, from the entire set of landmarks. Uh, kind of working. Yeah, kind of working. So what I want to do now is just explore distance and text. So I'm going to do that quickly together so we don't waste more time. Uh, what I what I obviously want now is I want the distance between these two fingers. It's not a finger, between the thumb and the finger, and I want to use that distance data in a way that I can manipulate a shape or manipulate text. So what I'll do here is I will just make a function. I'll call it d. Stop the sketch also. And I will say, okay, give me the distance between two x and y points. So I know that I have thumb x point and thumb y point. And then I want to add a bit of text. I'll say finger, finger painting. And then just for the moment, so I want it to be between my, if I'm, one second, I'll stop sharing and show my camera. So I want it to be between my index finger and my thumb. So the text needs to start somewhere between this. So I think if I start it at the thumb, to give it that x and y coordinate, then whenever my thumb moves, the text will move. But whenever my fingers move inward and outward, takes that distance and changes the text size or the font size, basically. So hopefully this works for us. And then the text size is capital is D. So I'm saying that, okay, take that distance and make the text size whatever that distance you get between those 2 points, and then write finger painting and put it on, anchor it to thumb x, thumb y. That's all I'm saying. I don't know how it'll look, but we can just like accept it. So yeah, so it's now you can see it's anchored to my thumb, right? And then as I'm making my fingers closer together, the font size is becoming a bit smaller, right? So this bit is sorted. If we are okay till this bit, then we like let loose on some explorations, and I can give you some like little tips and tricks to try, and then you can keep exploring together or independently. I think that makes sense, right, Sinam, time wise?
Yes, sure. I see people are enjoying in the chat.
Yay! Thanks, people. Can you please share your screen? Sorry, I'm so sorry about that. Yeah. So for those who are still figuring things out, basically each data point. Okay, maybe I'll do that once people have written out the code. I can share this sketch also with everyone. Yeah, so that's the thing with like HandPose. It's like documentation is many places. I think this might be the best one to look at, Rishi. This is from MediaPipe, which is sort of now like TensorFlow's newest format, I understand, or maybe something like that, which will give you all the updated information about the model. Oh, so here is some history. It says that they manually annotated 30,000 real world images with 21 3D coordinates. So that's how they've done it. Are we looking good? Everything okay?
Yep.
Awesome. So now there are many things one can do, and those explorations can be yours as you wish for this last half an hour of the workshop. But I'll just give you a gist of how we got here, because I also sped through it because I was feeling a bit nervous. So basically, for the thumb and for the index finger, I needed two coordinate points, x and y, so that I could mark all my objects on it. So to do that, it gives us several sublists. It says, okay, I will first give you a list of all the points, which is basically this one, this image. So that list is basically 0 to 20 or 21 points, and each of those sublists has a small sublist inside it, which gives me the x, y, and the z coordinate. So what I did was, to get that particular x and y point, so the first thing I did was, within that sublist I said, okay, within that list I said, okay, I need point number 4, which is the top of the thumb, and I need 8, which is top of the index finger. And within that I said, I need the first coordinate detail, which was for x. I need the second coordinate detail, which was for y. And then I did the same thing for the index finger x and y coordinates. So that's how I got these 2 points. And then we use them separately just to get those two circles. And then to get it into the text format, I anchored it only to one phalange, which was the thumb, or one digit. And then I used that distance function that we used to change the font size. So it's, I think, in theory, it seems very simple, and I think it is. It's just that the amount of code we ended up writing is quite a lot. So, but even so, I think like within less than 50 lines, we've got a little bit of a sketch going. And now you can really explore what you'd like to do with this. Um, what I've done for this particular sketch is that I'm going to close this camera, maybe gather down camera, so it will use a load little bit on my computer. For this one, what I did was, I made a list of letters, words. I said, let your fingers not point. And I said that, okay, if that distance is more than 20, give the first letter. If the distance is more than 60, give the second, and so on. So this, and the sketch is with you guys, so you can like explore it a little bit and improve it and do all that. Um, so it's anchored to my index finger, as you can see. And then it's, so when I'm like, it has little trouble identifying also because of the leaves probably. So then it's, when it's super small, it'll say, let your fingers not point. So basically, with that same philosophy that was there in that particular sketch of Elise's, Chelsea's, and I don't know who the other gentleman is, and of course Agri woman. Uh, we've changed, like, the we are using that same distance philosophy, and like reapplying it to different things. So here he's doing it with like you know with the eye, and then in this he's doing it with the whole image and twisting it and turning it, those kind of things. So that's the simple like thought behind it. So, and then you can of course change it to whatever else you'd like. So this sketch is free for you to use. You can like change out the letters, words, maybe change the shape that you want. So what I've specifically done here, code is a little bit different because at that time I didn't use this flip camera thing too well. But all it's doing is it's like identifying the size based on that, identifying what letter it needs to give me, what word it needs to give me from that entire list. And I gave it an if statement that give me those only those key points which when the J and is 4 or 8. I mean, it's again like not so necessary to know, but oops, oops, वापस से बंद हो गया. Uh, Sorry guys, decided to restart again. I don't know. So you guys can explore this. The other thing that I thought that I've actually not shared anywhere, but I thought maybe, I know some people love to do this on P5JS, is that maybe just don't have your camera view at all. Like remove the camera view totally, and then you still have the canvas going. It's still identifying your webcam. The model is still running. So you have these points moving around. If it at all happens. Oh, I'm running two models. Maybe that's why it was getting. Sorry guys, it crashed again. Okay. Yeah, so now you can see that the camera is not on, but it's still working with that same format. This could also be an interesting thing to explore. And then if you're like truly into that kind of trail P5JS thing where people like do like a painting style, I'm gonna cut the background from here, which was this line number 25, and add it here to the setup on line 18. And then it like leaves this little trail of, so like closer to the workshop's name, which was finger painting. So these are some things you can try with it. I mean, it's really up to you, but I definitely feel having the camera feedback is really nice for other users to explore your space. Um, okay, so I'll stop sharing the screen, and you can like do your own explorations. I find it like when you're stuck with the letters, that words that you want to use, to just use like a little bit of poetry, or like something that you know from popular culture or whatever, or like something that you're thinking about, so that it can kind of like immediately reflect your thoughts on what's happening, both with the sketch and outside world. uh, yeah, so any random sentence, anything that you'd like to do, um, anything that you want to surprise your friends with, or things like that. So thank
Yes.
you,
Thanks
Jenny.
for coming. See you in the next events.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Thank
Bye.
you. Thanks, Inem. Bye. Bye, Jenny. Bye, Dan. Bye, Ritu. Bye, Tina.